Hi, my name is Ranshika Kishor, and today I will be analysing the advertising campaign by the Heart Foundation Australia, Let's Keep Australian Hearts Beating. The big idea of this campaign evolves around cardiovascular disease and how people are only aware or know of the disease when a family member or close friend is affected by it. This campaign uses three different message strategies, the first being a generic strategy, as they are not bringing the attention towards their brand but more to raising awareness of cardiovascular disease. The second is effective message strategy, as the ad evokes empathy that the consumer can feel on a personal level. And the third is brand image, as they build on how the brand helps with trying to minimize the risk of this disease. The message given out to the audience taps into the consumer insight of how we take our hearts for granted and rarely notice the importance of it. By showing how severe cardiovascular disease is to the audience, it awakens a sense of urgency to change the way we look at our hearts and health. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the message of cardiovascular disease and how risky it is taps into the needs of safety, love, and belonging, as it evokes consumers to not only think of their personal safety, but their families as well, and how the disease will particularly affect their family members if the disease ever touched them. It is clear to say that this ad made very clever use of fear appeals. By creating fear into the consumer's mind, it helps the brand to stimulate the audience's involvement and thereby promote acceptance of this message, as it displays and claims how heart disease is the leading cause of death. Belsh's basis emotional appeals explains how it is important not to stress too much or too little fear, as this may be ignored or go unnoticed by the consumer. With this being said, the Heart Foundation has perfectly used the moderate amount of fear, holding their audience's attention by showing hope. The Heart Foundation perfectly positions themselves to their consumers as both wanting the same thing, for cardiovascular disease to be reduced in Australia. The way they showed this message to their audience fits in perfectly, as they show that the money donated goes into innovations, research, and more awareness of heart disease in Australia. The best way to evaluate the success of this campaign would be through the use of SMART goals. For example, to achieve a 20% increase in awareness of cardiovascular disease to an audience to 40 to 60-year-olds in a span of 6 months, the Heart Foundation can use a post-evaluation method by using tracking applications to see if their objectives were met by the end of the period. Creative strategy should match the product type. As this ad is a value expressive product, the emotional appeal should be used. Considering the thoughts that go into donating money, the use of transformational appeals, which emphasizes on the experiential nature, was most appropriate for this ad. Analyzing the way the message has been shown to the audience, it is clear that the viewers were set up to think of their family, which created an emotional appeal to evoke empathy within the viewer. The underlying theme of hope and an ongoing goal to keep hearts beating set the tone for this campaign. This tone was reflected and executed perfectly within the Heart Foundation Australia's brand personality, as they fund life-saving heart research and work to improve heart disease prevention and care for all Australians. This ad utilizes creative techniques of imagery and animations. The animation helped with a stylized execution, while the imagery assisted with the focus on the elements. Another technique to be noted is the background music in this ad. The music helped to set the tone of this ad. By placing very low-toned music in the parts of which the consumer was becoming aware of the disease, and middle to higher tone music when the Heart Foundation began to mention their ways in which they can help. This not only displayed the concept of hope, and that help is not too far away, but also very cleverly helped in building brand awareness. As the Heart Foundation did an excellent job in the creative strategy, it is recommended to continue this creativity. The media channels used in this campaign were only through a digital platform. This made it significantly harder and difficult not only to reach the target audience, but to share the message across digital media. As heart disease is mainly affected among the elderly Australians, the use of digital media was not the best choice to reach their target audience. While digital media does possess the advantages of being interactive and having a high-reach audience, there are issues with the trust, privacy, and security, as these three elements play a critical role in generating customer loyalty to social media marketers. The advantages of traditional media is that it has mass coverage and has quick high reach, and low selectivity, it can be difficult to get the full message across. It is recommended for the campaign to use traditional media like radio, news articles, and billboards, as well as continuing to use the digital media to raise more awareness between the target audience and younger audiences more effectively.